Traditional witchcraft is not a single codified religion or a neatly defined system, but rather a term used to describe a spectrum of practices rooted in the folk magic, spirit work, and land-based customs that have existed across cultures for centuries. For the modern witch seeking to walk a traditional path, understanding its roots means looking beyond contemporary trends and exploring the ways in which people have historically interacted with the unseen world. This is not about copying the past in exact detail, but about recognizing the origins of the craft, the environments in which it grew, and the principles that continue to give it life today. At its core, traditional witchcraft is tied to the land, both physically and spiritually. Before the industrial era, people lived in close relationship with the earth, relying on it for food, medicine, and shelter, but also recognizing its spiritual character. Fields, rivers, forests, and hills were not inert scenery. They were inhabited by spirits, and every place had its own presence and temperament. A traditional witch, then and now, works with these local spirits, forming alliances, making offerings, and learning their particular ways. The magic was shaped by what was available: local herbs, animal bones, weather patterns, and the natural features of the land. A witch in a wind-swept coastal village would work differently than one in a deep forest or mountain valley, not because of differing beliefs, but because of the different spirits and materials around them. The craft was also shaped by necessity. For much of history, witchcraft was not an abstract or purely mystical pursuit. It was a tool for survival and problem-solving. Witches and cunning folk might have been called upon to heal the sick, bless a marriage, protect livestock from disease, or lift a curse believed to be harming a family. This meant that magic was often pragmatic, rooted in results, and deeply integrated into daily life. Charms, talismans, and simple spoken spells could be made quickly when needed, and they often drew on layers of inherited knowledge: which plants held protective power, which symbols carried weight in the community, which rituals could ensure a good harvest. Folklore, songs, seasonal celebrations, and superstitions all acted as vessels for this knowledge, often encoded in ways that protected it from scrutiny during times when witchcraft was persecuted. Even when the words witch or magic were avoided, the practices survived in altered forms, hidden in plain sight. Understanding the roots of traditional witchcraft also means acknowledging its diversity. While many modern practitioners look to European folk magic, every culture has its own expressions of the craft, shaped by its environment, history, and cosmology. Even within a single region, there may be multiple currents: healing charms in one village, spirit-led trance work in another, weather magic along the coast. There is no single, pure, or universal form. Instead, there are countless local traditions, each responding to the needs and beliefs of the people who practice them. This is why modern traditional witches often emphasize the importance of researching and connecting with the practices of their own heritage or the land where they currently live, rather than importing traditions without context. Another essential element of these roots is the worldview that underpins the craft. Traditional witchcraft tends to be animistic, seeing the world as alive and interconnected. Stones, plants, animals, and places are not merely resources, but beings with their own spirit and agency. The witch's role is one of negotiation and relationship, maintaining balance between the human and spirit world. Magic is not simply about exerting control over outcomes, but about working within the existing web of forces to create change with respect and reciprocity. This perspective naturally fosters humility, an understanding that the witch is not above nature, but a participant in its cycles and currents. For the modern witch, connecting with these roots involves more than reading history books, though study is invaluable. It means paying attention to the land you live on, learning its stories, and seeking to understand its seasonal rhythms. It means listening to the folklore of your ancestors or your local community and recognizing the magical knowledge hidden within it. It means accepting that traditional witchcraft is a living, evolving current, not frozen in the past, but shaped by the same principles that sustained it for generations: respect for the land and its spirits, practical magic grounded in daily life, and a deep awareness of the unseen. When we understand the roots of traditional witchcraft, we see that it is not simply a set of rituals or a collection of old spells. It is a way of being in the world, of noticing and honoring the subtle threads that connect all things, and of carrying forward a legacy of relationship, adaptability, and craft. By walking this path with awareness and integrity, the modern traditional witch becomes part of an unbroken conversation, one that began long before us and, with care, will continue long after.